Martin. I'm here to see your municipal manager.
Good. I'll be right back, guys.
Thank you.
Come on, Bill. Nice to see you again.
Yes, hi. Nice
Have a
to see
seat.
you. Thank you.
What can I do for you today, Bill?
Well, I hear you're in the market for a new dump truck. I've got some real beauties out there this year. I brought along some brochures to show you, especially this one, our new M40X. It's the top of the line, and I'm sure that I can make you a really good deal on one.
Sounds great. Sounds just like what we need here in Clamdale.
Terrific. While I'm here, why don't I help you write those bid specifications? That way, you'll be sure to get the truck that you really want.
And then the trouble began. But what did George do wrong? We'll attempt to answer that and other questions in this program. As our roadmap, we will use the Purchasing Handbook for Local Governments. This handbook is designed for Pennsylvania's municipal governments. However, purchasing guidelines are generic enough nationwide that the information in this program will be of use to any municipal government in any state interested in getting the good buy. Purchasing for local government. This video will touch upon each of the chapters in the handbook, some in depth, others as information only. As the video comes to the end of each chapter in the handbook, you will see this on the screen. These are questions that you can use to review your understanding of the material in that particular chapter. The test your knowledge items will have been answered in that portion of the video. Additionally, the screen will be blank, like this, for 5 seconds at the end of each chapter. Purchases by local governments fall into two general categories. Those where competitive bidding is required by law, and those where competitive bidding is not required. We'll begin where competitive bidding is not required, one of three general areas. Where the amounts are less than the $10,000 limit established in the municipal code. Purchases specifically exempted, even though they may exceed $10,000. We will list those in a moment. And any purchases made under emergency conditions. There is one basic rule for purchases below the bidding limit. The entire project or purchase must be less than $10,000. You can't take a project that costs $10,500 and avoid bid requirements by breaking it up into smaller pieces. Except for cities and second-class counties, all other counties and municipalities must obtain at least 3 written or telephone price quotes for all contracts between $4,000 and $10,000. If by telephone, write down the vendor's name, purpose of contract, and price. Keep these and any informal written bids for 3 years. If there are not 3 qualified vendors in the market area, put a note to that effect in your file. And even for purchases under $4,000, informal bids are a good idea. As mentioned, some contracts or purchases over $10,000 may be exempt. And there are several examples. Maintenance, repairs, or replacements for water, lights, or other public works. Improvements, repairs, maintenance provided by your employees, but materials in excess of $10,000 are not exempt. For example, your workforces construct a local bridge. You don't have to bid the labor, but if the materials are over $10,000, you must have bids. You may believe a special piece of equipment or appliance has only one choice. But here you must advertise to determine there is only one source. you cannot decide in advance. Purchasing insurance policies and surety bonds is exempt. These are services under tariff on file with the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, light, telephone, etc. Cooperative purchasing programs or intergovernmental contracts are exempt. This includes lawyers, doctors, etc. But check with your solicitor. As an example, ambulance service can be exempt, while garbage collection is not, even though the service is billed directly to the user. Purchases of specific parcels of real estate are negotiable and thus exempt. Use of a landfill, however, is not a purchase and is subject to bidding. County contracts with nonprofit cooperative hospital service associations or county homes or hospitals are also exempt. Your reference here is the Emergency Management Services Code. Remember, emergencies are unexpected. The lack of time to respond allows you to bypass bidding. The bridge suffered a partial collapse. Obtaining warning signs and devices, even getting the truck out, could normally be exempt. Fixing the bridge is a bid item. While specific and general exemptions from competitive bidding do exist, local officials should exercise caution in claiming them. The burden of proof as regards restraint of trade is on the municipality. When in doubt, get competitive bids. Test your knowledge. Chapter 1. Purchases by local governments fall into two general categories: where is required, where is not required. Are there exceptions to the, quote, in excess of $10,000 provision, end quote? Purchase of insurance policy does not require bidding. In an emergency, you may not bypass competitive bidding. Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? Most large projects and purchases by municipalities require formal advertising for bids and subsequent invitation for bids. Remember George, Bill, and the dump truck? There are three very important things you must do. Prepare an advertisement, supply instructions to potential bidders, and write clear specifications. Those three things, advertisement preparation, providing bidders instructions, and writing clear specifications, will help keep you out of trouble. Municipal governments of different sizes have different rules, and it is all spelled out in your handbook. You should allow at least 2 weeks for small projects, several months for large or complex projects. And for those large projects, consider trade journals, where the readership would be interested and would be potential bidders. You should post the ad in your municipal building. That gets us to just what the ad should contain. These are the 9 items. Name and address of the municipality and the person authorized to receive the bid. The time, date, and place set for the opening of the bid. A brief description of the desired work or material, its scope, and its location. Restrictions for submission, change, or withdrawal of bids. the location and time where plans and specifications may be obtained. Name and address of the professional responsible to the municipality for the project. Deadline for receipt of bids. Mention if purchase price is to include allowance for trade-ins, if applicable. The time limit within which bids will be considered valid. If for some reason the municipality has not awarded the bid within that time, new bids must be submitted. Few municipal endeavors attract as much attention as the construction or alteration of any public building. If the entire cost of the work exceeds $10,000, you will have to provide separate specifications for plumbing, heating, electrical work, etc. Law or not, separate ads for different types of work is a good idea. Where to advertise? To give potential bidders enough time to respond, advertise where they have a good chance to see the ad. As an example, if you are serviced by a daily paper, 2 ads at 3-day intervals. For weeklies, put the ad in for at least 2 successive weeks. Again, refer to your handbook for specific information. Potential bidders who do not have a reasonable chance to see the ad will have a reasonable chance to complain. To the B in our ABC, bidder's instructions. Once the ad is out, responses will arise, and when they do, you must supply a set of instructions to the bidders. You took the time necessary to get a good ad, the A. Now be sure your B is equally as strong. Give each bidder identical information. The bidder instructions follow the same format as the ad, but go into more detail. You must provide a standard set of bid forms for each bidder, along with the following. To eliminate confusion, insist the forms you furnish be used and the blank spaces filled. State that you may wish to examine the qualifications of the bidder. How can the bidder withdraw? The amount and form of the bid bond and method of its return. The amount and type of the performance bond and the insurance requirement. Bidders must clearly mark and identify bidding documents. You should require the bidder to identify principal subcontractors and prohibit changing without approval. Treat all bidders equally. State that any questions or interpretations must be given to the municipality in writing. Your written responses should then be provided to all bidders. The bidder is presumed to have investigated and examined the plans, all other contract documents, as well as the site. The lowest responsible bidder will be awarded the contract. Responsible is defined as a bidder who is capable of doing the work and is of good reputation. And describe the methods and restrictions for making changes to the bidding documents. Most problems that occur in purchasing are the result of poor communication. So let's spend a little time on the C of our ABC. Clear specifications. Clear specifications provide the only basis a potential bidder has to fulfill your wants. Unclear, poorly written, or worst of all, no specifications can provide you with something like this. Did you fail to mention the model year or forget to mention must-have engine? Levity aside, your specifications must be clear. Documents that are not understood will invariably result in disputes. Requirements. Try to avoid language like, as the engineer shall direct. Those phrases will cause the bidder to raise the bid because what is required is not spelled out. Local sources as bidders are encouraged. But don't prepare your specifications so that others are locked out. The use of standard specifications is encouraged. Look to the American Society for Testing Materials for construction materials, the Portland Cement Association, and others for particular products. A major problem in specification writing lies in the area of performance. What is to be done as regards to quantity, quality, time, etc. As an example, road resurfacing. If you specify the resurfacing job must last 7 years without apparent distress, like cracks or potholes, then you might have to wait 7 years to see if your performance spec was met. Not practical. But you can address such items as type of material, thickness, strength, etc. Items that will give you the 7 years. You must publicly announce the receipt of bids when you have your meeting. If you are going to schedule a bid opening, you must say so, and when the award will occur. If those meetings are not held, you must notify the public at least 5 days before the meeting where the bids will be considered. All public work contracts exceeding $50,000 must be awarded within 60 days of the date of the bid opening. There are special conditions where the limit becomes 120 days. Usually when another government agency must approve, bonds must be sold, or a grant must be received. One of your duties in awarding bids is to determine just who this is. Promptness, faithfulness, capacity, and ability to do the work are items that must be considered. However, the lowest responsible bidder is the low bidder when the bidding requirements were satisfied. You can't look for the better deal now if the requirements have been met. No bids the first time, you must go through the process again. You must rebid. If after 45 days of your second ad, there are no bids, then you can negotiate the price. But you might ask, why weren't bids received? Test your knowledge items, Chapter 2. Advertisements for bids should be and written. Specifications provide the common standard to bids received. Using the phrase "as the engineer shall direct" will usually increase the cost of a project. True or false? Who and what determines the lowest responsible bidder? If no bids are received, what do you do? Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? This is the document on bid withdrawal. To avoid confusion for your prospective bidders, state whether your bids are subject to this act. The act allows a bidder to withdraw after bid opening without forfeiture if evidence shows a substantial arithmetical error, or a quantity of work, material, or services were omitted, and any or all of these was a clerical rather than judgmental mistake. The burden of proof is on the bidder, and the Act does not define substantial. The local government should define it for themselves and put it in the bidding specifications. This is an area where the municipality should provide written regulations. To properly withdraw, the bidder notifies the municipality in writing within 2 business days after opening of bids. The Act sets the timetable, 2 business days, but leaves questions. Is the notice to be mailed or delivered personally? To where? What are 2 business days? What should the notice contain? These items should be clearly spelled out by the municipality. Once the bidder withdraws, the bidder cannot be involved in any way with the project being bid upon. If a bid is withdrawn, the municipality can award to the next lowest bidder, reject all bids, and resubmit for bidding. But if the municipality does not agree to the withdrawal, it must hold a hearing within 10 days after bid opening. Here, the purchasing handbook goes into detail as to what should be done. Regulations, bidding specifications, and standard operating procedures are needed to specify contracts subject to the Act, define substantial error, the precise method of giving notice of withdrawal, and the precise method of giving notice of hearing, and a method of arbitration. Municipal governments are representatives of the entire community. You want to conduct your business in a fair and professional manner. Clear regulations, specifications, and standard operating procedures help ensure that this occurs. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 3. Withdrawal of bids is covered under Act of 1974. This act defines substantially lower bids, true or false. Can a withdrawing bidder later act as a subcontractor on the project? How long should a municipality consider a bid? Does your municipality have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? All contracts should be executed with written documents. Even if written documents are not required, oral contracts can cause problems. The rights, duties, and responsibilities of the contractor and the municipality are defined in the contract. Standard contract forms are available from professional organizations. Here is a look at the contents in a standard public works construction contract. The contractor is bound to do only the work specifically defined and referred to in the statement of work. You should include a method for making changes. To protect the municipality, a percentage, usually 10%, is held back until all claims are settled. For public work projects over $50,000, the held back amount is limited by law. Define the authority of the consultant relative to the contractor. Require the contractor to identify all subcontractors and their competency. Boroughs and townships have the authority to include non-discrimination clauses in their contracts. Require the contractor to remove all equipment, excess materials, rubbish, etc. The contracting firm, the municipality, and the municipal officials should be protected from claims. The contractor should be required to obtain and maintain insurance. The contractor should be responsible for all of these and liable for any cost of violation. Bonds come in three principal types. These accompany a bid as a sign of the bidder's good faith. The amount of the bid bond, usually a percentage of the project cost, varies with the type of municipality. These pledge the contractor to carry out the terms of the contract. Again, the amounts vary with the type of municipality. Payment bonds protect subcontractors and other individuals furnishing labor or materials for the project to the prime contractor. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 4. All contracts should be the three principal types of bonds are and Who obtains the licenses and permits for a project? Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? Here is another area where municipalities should adopt regulations. Remember our very helpful salesman? Often these people do not understand government laws on purchasing and contracting. Sometimes there is confusion within the municipal office itself. And the general public should know what purchasing policies are. An ordinance or resolution should be passed to adopt regulations for standardizing purchases that can generate substantial cost savings, like stationery, envelopes, paper towels, office items, supplies for your maintenance unit. These should be studied to see where standardization would help. After that, begin drafting specifications. Specifications are a concise and complete description of product quality you will accept. With specifications, everybody, large and small, can compete for your business. And competition usually means lower prices, or better goods, or both. There are state and federal agencies that specialize in preparing and maintaining specifications. A good point of contact is the Bureau of Municipal Services, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, Transportation and Safety Building, Room 710, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania 17120, or you can call them at area code 717-787-2183. In preparing specifications, use assistance whenever possible. Keep your specifications clear, concise, and accurate. Update on a regular basis. And be fair. You want to encourage, not discourage, competition. The last necessary ingredient for a sound purchasing system is a clear, complete set of operating procedures. A purchasing manual with checklists should be provided to those involved in the purchasing process. The manual and the checklist should cover all phases of the purchasing process. Following the manual and the checklist should ensure that materials are ordered only by authorized employees and officials. Purchases over $10,000 are advertised and bids obtained correctly. Goods are received before payment is made. Encumbered monies are identified. Here is a sample purchasing procedure. The governing body designates who is authorized to initiate purchase orders. That person makes a list of items needed, and the list is forwarded to the secretary or treasurer of the municipality. For discussion, we are assuming the required items are less than $10,000 and do not require bids, or that a current contract exists. The authorized official or employee completes the purchase form and sends to the vendor. The money is encumbered. The goods are received and compared against the accompanying invoice. If all is correct, a check is written, but not signed. At the next regular meeting, the procedure is reviewed, the check approved, and signed. The expenditure is deducted from the municipal account, and the check sent to the vendor. Keep complete files with information on current or recently completed contracts, past ads and instructions to bidders, and a list of bidders, eligible and non-eligible. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 5. Buying in bulk usually results in prices. Specification should be C blank, C blank, and A blank. Who initiates purchase orders? Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video. You must not only do good, you must be perceived as doing good. This is especially true when purchasing goods and services with public funds. Refer to the ethics law and to the municipal code. Follow the one that is most restrictive. If any portion of the handbook should be thoroughly reviewed and understood, it is Chapter 6. Whether officials are appointed or elected, severe restrictions and severe penalties are present within the law when spending public funds. What dollar assessment triggers the personal interest definition varies, but any time you have interest in a contract or a purchase by an elected or appointed official, that contract or purchase should be closely scrutinized. The appearance of honesty and impartiality is almost as important as fulfilling legal requirements. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 6. The law outlines conflicts of interest for municipal officials. It is illegal to advertising requirements. Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? Various laws for local governments deal with liquid fuel funds, federal grant funds, purchase of steel products and motor vehicles, the payment of prevailing wages, and providing compensation insurance. One golden rule: do not mix liquid fuel funds with any other local funds. You can transfer from general funds for certain projects and get reimbursed from liquid fuels, but there are restrictions. The work must be done in the current year, and the municipality must identify the cost, and they must be allowed under state regulations. Basically, liquid fuel funds can be used for maintenance, materials, supplies, small tools, and, to a limited degree, major equipment. For construction, reconstruction, or widening of roads, streets, bridges, and drainage structures. What you can spend and how you apply to spend it varies with the work to be done. Get a copy of PennDOT's Publication 9. Not only does it explain the Liquid Fuels Tax Act, but it offers examples of how the Act applies in different situations. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 7. Liquid fuel funds can be put with other local funds. True or false? The D-B Act outlines wage rates. The source of steel products used must be certified. True or false? Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? Looking for ways to reduce costs? Investigate intergovernmental purchasing. Cheaper by the dozen is the guiding rule when several small communities get together to buy multiples of the same item. Let's say 5 communities separately order an item. The vendor produces all the required paperwork for all 5. But if they go together, the vendor prepares one set and usually will take a smaller profit since the administrative costs are reduced. 2 or more municipalities agree. All items are common, only one ad is needed. Each municipality keeps a file copy of all specifications. Bids are opened at a joint meeting. Approval and the purchase is authorized. Each municipality will submit purchase orders, but only one bid is required from the vendor. Each municipality will get delivery, prepare the invoice, and make the required payment. Another area to look into is the county contract. Counties are authorized to permit municipalities within the county to make piggyback purchases. Still another area is state-local cooperative purchases. And the last we want to look at is the area of surplus property, where items such as furniture, tools, road equipment, etc. are available. You are not obligated to enter into any form of intergovernmental purchasing, but it is a subject worth exploring. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 8. Another name for cooperative purchasing is P blank P blank. Local governments can purchase surplus state property. True or false? Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? You must determine the type of contract best suited for the intended purchase. There are two basic types of competitive bid contracts. The first of these is called a lump sum contract. You order based on your plans and specifications. The contractor provides the work or the product according to those plans and specifications for a specified sum. The big advantage for the municipality is the final cost is known. But if the plans and specifications are incomplete and changes are made after work has begun, the cost can be prohibitive. The second type of competitive bid contract is the unit price contract. This contract is based upon estimated units needed and a price per unit. The advantage is that the cost per unit is known and the amount can be monitored by the municipality. Changes can be made so long as they are in the framework of the original contract, and the size of the project or purchases need not be determined beforehand. This type of contract needs close monitoring by the municipality. You can combine lump sum and unit price features into one contract. Again, you must determine which is best. Annual contracts, usually advertised and let in January or February of the year, are an excellent money saver. These contracts result in a lower cost per unit purchase. And since you are not advertising, reviewing, and awarding bids for each purchase, you have lower administrative costs. Here are some areas that lend themselves to annual contracting. Asphalt, concrete, rock, sand, delivered and used or stockpiled. Advertising, duplication of maps, plans, etc. Solvents, gasoline, diesel and fuel oil, batteries, tubes, tires. Lights, roadway line striping materials, electrical wire and cable. For all these, a large saving should be made. If the vendor indicates the price may go up, order early. If the indication is the price may go down, wait. When purchasing equipment, low initial cost may be offset by high maintenance costs. This might be an answer. You bid for the equipment and the maintenance. Lowest bidder is total of both. Identify just what maintenance you will pay for, what the vendor pays for. Are there to be operating restrictions? Define excessive, defined by number of hours. You can exclude to suit your needs, and you can be protected against excessive maintenance costs. You must keep very complete records. If there's a large claim against the vendor, you can expect to settle it in court. Leases are rental agreements between two parties. All leases are subject to the contracting requirements of the municipality, and they may be useful in obtaining specialized construction equipment for a short time period. Test your knowledge items, Chapter 9. The two basic types of competitive bid contracts are and. Leases are agreements. Annual contracts can save money because and. Does your municipality have or have access to the documents referenced in this part of the video? There are sources of help. The Department of Community Affairs has publications on almost every aspect of municipal government. You can contact them by writing to Pennsylvania Department of Community Affairs, Publications Office, 318 Forum Building, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17120, or call area code 717-783-0176. Another source is your Rural Technical Assistance Program, RTAP, the Pennsylvania Local Roads Program, the only organization in Pennsylvania whose sole function is to transfer transportation technology to the Commonwealth's 2,639 municipalities. Contact RTAP, Pennsylvania Local Roads Program, Penn State, Harrisburg, 68 Craig's Building, Middletown, Pennsylvania, 17057, or call 717-948-6098 or 6243. Local governments desiring consultation and or training on issues such as bidding, purchasing, or contracting should contact the Department of Community Affairs, Bureau of Local Government Services at 717-787-5177. Above all, get, keep, and refer to your purchasing handbook. Caveat emptor, buyer beware may be an old saying, but so is a fool and his money are soon parted. So the next time someone like this comes calling, remember your ABCs, and you'll be prepared.